Afternoon, guys. So it's right into the next project, and what this video is going to be is converting my shed space into studio space for my wife. So if you guys have been watching for a while, you saw it's probably been about 2 years ago when I actually built this shed. It was the first thing that I really built on the property, and it was to store the stuff until my shop was built. So now my shop is pretty close to being done, so we've moved everything out of here. And now it's time to convert this space into my wife's she shed. So let's get into it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. All right, so the boys are checking it out. Okay, so as you can see, the space is completely cleared out. We even swept the floor. So this shed, for those of you that don't know, or maybe forgot if you watched the original videos, this shed is 8 foot by 14 foot. It is basically just below the max limit for a permitted structure in Hawaii for a tool shed. So even though this is not permitted, it did have electricity here, and that was because the framing here, if you can see the blue, this was the original beam for the carport, and basically all I did was just build a wall under it after I had poured the slab. So this slab was done first, and then recently we did the slab in the carport area. So there's a 36-inch door here, there's a barn door style opening here. All that's going to stay. What we're going to be doing in this conversion is the electrical outlet that is in here is going to get changed over to a switch, and then I'm also going to jump off of there and I'm going to add some more outlets, and that's going to be the first step of this process. So there will be a switch mounted on the wall over here. There's going to be an outlet here kind of high because we're going to eventually add some cabinets and a countertop here. So the outlet will be in the center of the wall above countertop level. And then there will be 2 outlets over here, one probably somewhere around here, and then one is going to be maybe like right here in this corner. So that's going to be the first thing I'm going to do, is get the wire run for those. We have everything we need, so I think this may end up being like 2 videos max. We have all of the drywalls you see here stacked against the wall. We have the flooring that we picked out with a chicken feather on it. So it's kind of a grayish, bluish sort of liquid luxury vinyl planking. We have some cedar tongue and groove, which this is going to be on the ceiling. We have some light panels that we're going to do. We've got the electrical boxes and stuff for it. So that is what's going to happen. So right now I'm going to grab my drill and wire and basically just start running the electrical work in here, pulling this outlet apart, switching that over to a switch, and then just tying everything in. All right, so the electrical now is completely run. All the boxes, those ones are still hanging out because I gotta make sure I know which one is which for the outlets and for the lights, so that it's wired correctly. For now, this is just a coil for the first light. The second light will be somewhere in this bay, but those won't get located until I start doing the tongue and groove on the ceiling. So next step is going to be terminating these wires and basically mounting the plugs, mounting the switch. And if you were watching closely, you probably saw that I did that without turning off the power, so don't do that at home. I mean, it's kind of tricky, but you just can't touch anything together, and don't touch anything to yourself, and you know, electricity. So that's all done. I'm gonna work on starting to terminate these plugs and getting them mounted. I'll do a quick sweep, and then I'm gonna start throwing up drywall. Putting up drywall, not throwing up drywall. Okay, the electrical is all done now. All the plugs are wired, switch is wired. Everything is in. So all the outlets are live and we're good. Now time to move on to start putting in some drywall. Oh, the dog's life. I also wanted to say that I'm running 12.2, but the majority of the time this would be a 14.2 job, which is, you can see is 14.2 is coming in. So normally 14.2 is white, 12.2 is yellow, just so it's an easy visual. But rather than buy new wire, I was just using wire I had left over from the shop, so don't need to buy new wire. All right, so everything is cleaned up now from all the drilling and the wood shavings, wire clippings, whatnot. So I'm getting ready to start putting the drywall on. I'm gonna start on this wall here, and then I'll kind of just work my way around to the door. Typically when you're doing drywall, it's put in horizontally. Sometimes you start from the bottom and work your way up. I've seen guys that actually will put the piece on the top and then go down. This one is going to be, there's a slope in the roof there. So right now I'm just going to basically do the bottom row all the way around to start. And then I will work on the upper ones because I'll have to do, like I said, a big cut or an angled cut to get it, so. The creeper is on me. Jerry. Hi, boys. All right, so, I mean, you get the basic idea of what's going on here. We go ultra wide. So that was, I guess, the most difficult part because I had to cut out around the outlets. Drywall is pretty forgiving. Like this one over here is a good example. I actually cut too high, but it's really easy to patch that up. So don't get me wrong, like guys that do drywall and no drywall, they're like way more efficient and better at this than me. But it's pretty simple. I mean, you mark out your beams, which is what I was doing with the lines with the ruler. So you basically just screw along those lines. You know, you do the first row, then you do your second row, tape all the joints, mud everything. Yeah, pretty simple. So I'm gonna keep working on this off camera. That's pretty boring to just watch a time lapse of drywall going up. So I will continue this and then I will be back once it's up. All right, it's a little after 7 p.m. So working late tonight. But I got 3 walls all the way done. Everything is screwed off. So it's basically ready for tape and joint compound. Put this light in temporarily. It's just a LED shop light that I had, extra light. So yeah, good progress today. So tomorrow, today's Saturday by the way, and I'm trying to do this over the weekend, finish everything. So tomorrow I'm going to finish this wall, and then I'm going to start doing the tongue and groove ceiling, as well as getting the lights mounted. So yeah, whoa, see my reflection. So that is the progress today, end of day one, even though it was only like a half day today, but anyway, see you in the morning. Okay, it's the next morning. Go to ultra wide. All the drywall is up. It's completely screwed off. Next step is going to be starting to run some tape and some joint compound for the initial coat, which will get sanded, and then I'll probably end up, possibly doing a second coat, but we'll see. So I'm gonna start doing that, and then gonna get started on the ceiling, the tongue and groove. I am going to add some cross supports in here, which when I get to that point I'll show, because the lights that I have, they have kind of a ring mount, so I want to be able to securely mount that, and then the electrical box will be in the middle of that. So the light itself kind of goes up, and then you do a, like a little turn, and then that's what locks it in, so that you can drop the light down. It's an LED light, but you can change the, I guess the color frequency or the temperature, from like bright white to daylight to soft white, like those different settings. So I'm gonna get started on the next part. All right, so you see all the tape, and then I'm starting to do the joint compound. This is like a fairly simple process. You just smooth it out. This is going to be the initial covering. I'll go back with a sandpaper block and kind of smooth everything out, and then I'll add additional joint compound to the spots that need it, if there's any spots that are low. So that is where we're at. Apparently Skull's sleeping. Okay, so getting ready to start doing the tongue and groove on the ceiling. And these were the cross braces I put in for the light. So this is the ring that I was talking about. And there's 3 mounting points, one there, one there, one there. So basically what I did is I just spaced these apart so that I could screw those in to there, so that it's a solid mount for the light. And then this is gonna get centered. I haven't taken that measurement yet. So there's basically gonna be 2 lights in here. This one will probably end up being a little closer to this side, and then that one will be a little closer to this side, something like that. So, gonna get started on the tongue and groove now. All right, so you saw a little bit of the process of putting this tongue and groove up. This is cedar, tongue and groove cedar, and it's thinner pieces. It's not like the, it's like knotty pine that you would get at Home Depot or whatever. We did get this at Home Depot, but it's thinner. This is more made for like maybe lining a closet wall, something like that. But we like the look and the smell, and so we're doing the cedar. So I'm going to continue on with this until I get to the point where I'm putting the lights in. All right, I am now at the point where I'm ready to cut the holes for the lights, and then soon I'm going to have to pull this light down because the tongue and groove is going to go past that. So what I'm going to do now is, if you can see the circle there, and then I have my tape marks as was for the center line. So I'm going to get my jigsaw, and I'm going to cut these out because I don't have a hole saw that size. And then the cans will fit up in there, and then the light bracket will get mounted over top of that. All right, so the light brackets are mounted, and then the lights themselves have this little lanyard so it can hang down. So that if you want to work on it, or if you need to, here's the switch to switch between the soft white, bright white, daylight, whatever light frequency you want or temperature that you want to use. So I got both of these up, so now I'm just going to get them wired up so that I can use those and remove this light here. So, and there we go. All the sealing is completely done. Lights are hooked up. Probably actually easier to see with them off because they're super bright. Door is shut. We'll probably end up painting that once we paint the walls just so it matches. Man, this was 2 long days of work. So tomorrow I'm gonna get started on the floor and we'll see how that goes. Looks pretty awesome though. All right, so actually a day or so has passed. I did get in here last night and I did some spackling on all the corners or the joint compound. As you can see, some is still a little wet. So basically as you're doing this, you just have to kind of let it dry, go back. We did a little bit of sanding on some of the screw holes. All of the joints where the tape is will probably need a sanding and maybe even a 3rd coat. So I'm going to continue with that. But otherwise, everything is done. I know I said I was going to start on the flooring, but I convinced my wife to wait until we get the drywall done and get the paint on because we're just risking of a chance of dripping paint, spilling paint, whatever on the floor. So yeah, we're going to wait on that. That'll be in the next episode. But I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this one. Got a lot done. All the walls are done, all the electrical's done, the ceiling's done. And I think this is a good stopping point for the video. So that's going to wrap up this video of the she shed studio space, standing right under the light. Basically a space for my wife to have to use for artwork, studio, whatever it's going to end up being. She does have an office in the house, but it's also the office where she works. So my wife works remotely, so she works from home. So she has kind of all of her art and everything packed into her office that she also uses for work. So this will give her some additional space. She's really excited about it. So I will continue sanding and prepping the walls. And then we will get a coat of paint on this. I don't know if I'll show that or not, but on the next episode, it's basically going to be wrapping everything up. So getting the walls done, getting the paint done, getting the flooring installed. We're going to be getting trim that's going to run, around the top of the ceiling. And then we're also going to be getting baseboards that are going to go around the bottom once the flooring is put in. Eventually we are going to be installing some kind of a, built-in cabinet with countertop over in this wall here. So it's basically going to go wall to wall there, over to where the door is. And it'll come out pretty much right to where, that is. So I think that's just under 2 feet when I measured it last. So there will be the countertop there, which is why this plug is also higher. So that plug is higher so that it'll be above the countertop. And then we'll probably do some either cabinets or shelving up above. I think she said she wants like open shelving, something like that. So I don't know if all that will get done on the next video or not, but this is where it's at now. And this is going to be the end of part 1. I will see you guys on the next one. Aloha.